Hi guys, my name is Random Gavin, and welcome to a little series that I'm starting that I'd like to call I Hate Moxxi Build Guides. Now the point of these videos is to give you guys some builds for the characters that don't require the use of Moxxi weapons. Now as most people know, most characters in UVHM, in order to stay alive, have to use Moxxi weapons. Specifically, most builds use the Grog Nozzle for healing purposes, so that you're survivable. These builds are going to show you 100% Moxxi-less free builds. So, this one is for Krieg, and we're going to call it an Elemental Krieg build. Alright. So this is 100% non-melee focused. So now obviously, unfortunately, you have to get Buzz Axe Rampage. You literally can't avoid it. But let's start putting the skill points in. You are going to want to grab Burn Baby Burn, Feel the Fire. Let me put it this way. You're grabbing everything in this tree except for one skill. Now, you're grabbing everything in this tree because this tree is what makes this build work. This is a 100% melee-less build. You only use guns for this build. Elemental weapons. You don't grab this because it's crap. But all these are going to help you stay alive, basically. These are your survivability skills, mainly elemental empathy. Now, in the blue tree, there are two skills we're going to grab. We're going to grab Feed the Meat, and we're going to grab Embrace the Pain. And then over here in this tree, we're going to grab three things. You're going to put your 5 points into Blood-Filled Guns, 5 into Blood Twitch, and then you're going to grab Bloodbath. Now you can substitute a little bit here. If you don't want to grab this stuff, you could probably go ahead and you could put points into Thrill to Kill. You could put points into, say, Thrill to Kill, and then you could grab Salt the Wound, and then you could just grab either Blood Twitch or Blood-Filled Guns. But I find this to be a better option because of the way Bloodbath works. Now, what kind of gear are you going to need for this build? Any kind of torch mod. So anything that buffs skills within the red tree, the Hellborn tree, is what you're going to want. I use a legendary torch mod because it's basically the best torch mod you can acquire. You're going to want one of two shields, basically. Either a Rough Rider or a Flame of the Firehawk. The Flame of the Firehawk is one that makes you very survivable. The Rough Rider is another nice one because of the damage resistance, and it's good overall shield because it ups your max health. As far as grenades go, you're probably going to want to use either some kind of a Tesla, which the best Tesla there is a Stormfront, or you could use a Fastball. And then you're going to want a Bone of the Ancients, Fire Relic, or if you're going up against armored targets, you'll want Corrosive. Very good weapons for this build. The ones I like to use, the Slaga and the Burning Infinity. And we're going to go ahead and head to the beatdown, just so I can show off a little bit of gameplay with this build. Just a little bit. We're actually going to take off Flame of the Firehawk, because when you have Flame of the Firehawk on, it's impossible to see anything. It just is, but it makes you very survivable. Also, one other thing, if you do not want an inflammable Flame of the Firehawk, it will basically render this build unusable, just because then you can't set yourself on fire, which is a key part of the build. I also need to find the beatdown, because apparently I'm bad at finding the beatdown. The beatdown is right there, is literally the first thing when I open that up. Wow, lovely. Okay, so the basics of how this build works. You shoot at things with the Infinity, you just get set on fire, you put dots and stuff, you don't die. Your fire rate gets higher, thereby you put more dots on things. So as you can see right now, your health is constantly recharging. As long as you have dots on multiple enemies, your health will constantly recharge. The fireballs will put out dots onto different enemies if you happen to miss some. And it's really a very relaxed mobbing build. Very, very relaxed. I mean, besides, the streaming and the burning of all the burners. But it's a very fun, easy mobbing build for UVHM. At least on OP0. OP8, this might fall off a little bit. As long as you're using the right kind of element against the right kind of enemy. So, you know, fire against flesh and corrosive against armored, you'll have no problem taking out any target. Any target, as far as mobbing goes. Another thing you do want to keep in mind with this build is that since your fire rate is so high, that's why I like to use the Infinity. And then the slag, just the slag weapon in case there's something I need to slag. But when you're mobbing with this build, the dot damage is so high that you kind of just don't need slag at all, which is typically a necessity in UDHM. And the only time you might be going down, like I am right here, is when you're getting into actually getting dots on things. If you don't have a dot on anything, you will go down. That's just a required part of the build, is you have to have dots on things. But as you can see, with the dots on the enemies, your health is instantly recharging because of how much the dot damage is and how much you get healed for. So anyways, guys, that covers the basics of this build. It is primarily a mobbing build. Raid bosses, probably it's not very viable for raid bosses, but try it if you want. Hell, I'm probably gonna try it. I still need to try this build for raid bosses, but that's the generalities of this build. You could make any elemental weapons work with it. Hellfire would be a very good option as well. But this is the build at a very high level of play. You could simplify it as well. Use some less than stellar weaponry, and I'm sure it would still work perfectly. So, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and maybe subscribe. Maybe subscribe. Maybe comment. Maybe rate. I'd appreciate all those things. And I will see you all next time in the Borderlands to talk about how much I hate Moxxi. Yeah.